On today's show, we're revealing open secrets about our political climate. Let's talk about the only thing politicians value from you, grassroots donations. And our guest is a former presidential candidate. You'll have to stay to find out who, or read the show description. Yet another open secret the world now knows. This is the Liberal Conspiracy. TLC is shot entirely on QAnon 5G cameras, the only DSLR with built-in image stabilization that also spreads COVID-19. We'll be looking at the most expensive House campaign in history, have a correspondent dive into strange fundraising emails, and reveal the candidate with the best mustache. And truly, you're going to want to see that mustache. Let's get started. Fundraising, the reason you ignore emails from former presidents. People ask me more often than anything, where do I donate my time and resource to make the most impact? And to provide a firm, vague answer, let's take it back to Georgia in the wake of 11/9/2016. Never forget. We were all crestfallen. We needed a win. And due to the president's first very fine, short-lasting cabinet choice, Democrats had a shot at picking up a seat in Congress. Jon Ossoff, fresh off playing Abe Lincoln in the high school play, was our chosen champion. Johnny Blue Wave Tsunami was running a special election in a very Republican Georgia district with a long shot at winning. A thirst trap for our desires to right the wrongs of 2016, this race ended up raising $30 million. Now, we should want to win everywhere, but as political consultants made it rain for the first-time candidate, they seized on national feelings and shared donor pool, and sucked it pretty dry. This is less problematic than his opponent's ads, but donor fatigue should be a concern for the donee and the donorer. To discuss, co-conspirator Esteban Gast visited his inbox to dramatically read real fundraising headlines.
Thanks, Josh. And hey, lizard people. You know, me and my interns have gotten a lot of political emails, especially when it comes to fundraising. In fact, that may be like the only emails we get. Hey, Esteban, humbly asking you. That's great. Esteban, we need you. Can we talk, Esteban? Everything has changed. Heartbreaking news. We're losing. This is my final request. Esteban, are you online? Please read. Do not delete. Can we talk? Esteban, did I make you proud tonight? Am I worthy of life? Esteban, do you know shame? All is lost. If you want to prove once and for all that you didn't peak in high school, 1 hour 30 seconds too late. You let us down. On your deathbed, when your children ask you what you did to save democracy, will you tell them that today you donated $5?
Sending 4 emails a day to their lists, hammering your inbox zero without consent. It's not like most people choose between the 7 sky is falling emails and donate to 4. When they pile up from every campaign, at some point when being treated like an ATM, you tap out. So Ossoff lost. Democrats lost. Lots of small donors lost. The only winner after $24 million was spent, the campaign email consultants who took in a rake of like $3 million. That's the deal you give a mediocre agent if you're trying really hard to make it in Hollywood. And for the record, I'm interested. Consultants can make millions in profit for losing. The campaigning industry needs new models that reward good work and, like, winning. But even stronger tactics are not enough if individuals ignore that their strategies do not exist in an isolated ecosystem. Last cycle, a talented friend made the most badass trailer for a candidate, Randy Bryce, the Iron Stash, redefining the game. Iron Stash was the perfect heel to Paul Ryan and pressured the GOP leader to ultimately not run for re-election. Mission accomplished. But the Stash campaign kept growing. They had that sexy trailer and it played so well in New York and Hollywood. In Q1 of the midterms, the only race that outspent him, Doug Jones, an active Senate race. That is insane. When Iron Stash lost, where did all that money go? Media buyers. So, when asked to support, my answer every time is invest in infrastructure. It's not the flashy candidate that delivered their entire stump speech in one take while skydiving, but if you want more Iron Stashes, give to the Wisconsin State Party and help assemble the whole Wisconsin Avengers. Captain Schwabenon, Brat Widow, the Bubbler. You want to help Ossoff win the Senate in 2020 and a bonus Stacey Abrams in the next cycle? Donate to the Georgia State Party. State parties have never had enough resources to help all their candidates. Yet, every campaign expects them to be the cavalry. Imagine if an influx of 50 million lasted past 1 November. To train, employ, and keep a staff beyond a single sprint. Building tools and institutional knowledge for all the candidates. So, do donate to individual campaigns when you're excited about the candidate, but this is all to say, don't only chase the bright, shiny things. You might love their style or hate their opponent, but also consider diversifying your portfolio. That's my hot stock tip. before America's looming economic downfall. And for more on that, we bring one of our favorite politicos, Tori Taylor, Executive Director of Swing Left. Tori, thanks for joining us in the final sprint before E-Day. Tell us what Swing Left is doing to help all these grassroots donors moneyball their $3 contributions.
We actually launched a product earlier this year called Blueprint. We really provide a portfolio for donors to give a donation, and we really work with them to create a custom dynamic portfolio where their money will go to the races that matter most. They want to, invest in voter registration and invest in some long-term power building work on the ground in some of these states. We have a slate of community-based organizations that are doing incredible work building long-term progressive political power.
I will say, when I heard about Blueprint, I thought it was absolutely brilliant to give the Charles Schwab treatment to grassroots fundraising and have a financial advisor essentially. It is really something unique and something new and a service that I don't think enough people are talking about or using. A lot of people want to just defeat McConnell. People want to kick out Lindsey Graham. We both love us some Jamie Harrison, but yeah. Can you explain a bit more about why there is just such an advantage to doubling down on North Carolina?
Totally. Well, there is going to be no bigger advocate of Democrats pressing the bounds of where we're playing offense. Where are the races that we think are going to be won or lost on the margins, and where that dollar or that door knock or phone call or text can really make a difference and, flip that chamber on a dime.
No matter how things shake out in November, there'll be some fatigue and there'll be a whole lot more work to do. So what do you want to be working on in 2021?
We're at the start of a sprint. Electoral politics is a means to an end. I really hope that we all are internalizing some of the moments that we're in right now so they never happen again.
Politics is a knife fight, and I've been hearing a lot of rumors behind your back that you are absolutely wonderful to work with and one of the good ones. So thank you so much for joining the program.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Did I mention fundraising sucks for the candidates too? And that's their primary job, thanks to Citizens United. For a first-hand look, we turn to comedian and former presidential candidate, Ben Gleib. Ben Gleib, thanks so much for coming on the program.
Yes, sir.
You pull off the blazer real well.
Thank you very much. I asked you if you were going to be wearing a blazer. You said, yes, I can't be the former candidate and be underdressed.
First off, tell us about your experience on the campaign trail.
Yeah, very, very challenging.
How much of your time was actually spent on fundraising?
They really want me to do 5 hours every day of call time.
It's really hard to do anything courtesy of Citizens United, as much as we want grassroots candidates.
Well, it's weird now when everybody's on Zoom all day to expect people to pay a premium to still be on Zoom. As much as I do believe that Zoom can replicate in-person life pretty well, I just hate how much it is about money. And it's insane that dollars buy you access to the leaders that need to be helping more so the people that don't have the dollars.
Major senators will make house calls for a new Honda Accord, right? If they know that there's going to be $30,000 waiting in this backyard in LA, they're going to plan an entire trip around it.
They train you and they teach you, keep the calls quick, get to your ask within 5 minutes, if not 3 minutes. And I wouldn't do that well either because I'm a human being with feelings who wants to connect with my old friend and not say, hey, I'm running for president, so we stand for this and this. Could we possibly give us a double max out contribution? They would, generally speaking, be down to help. People feel almost touched to be asked, but it doesn't make me feel good. It make me feel touched in like a bad touch, you know what I mean?
So that's not the tight five you're down for?
No.
So as somebody who's politically active in Hollywood, in the comedy scene, I'm sure you get asked a lot, where should I put my money or where should I put my time and resource?
Right now I tell people just donate to the Democratic Unity Fund. We just need all of our resources to go towards winning up and down the ballot from the White House to the State House. And I can't believe I sounded like a politician right there. The White House to the State House. I'm keeping my hands down. I used to have a dog in my lap, so it's keeping me from doing this. I never did this. My move was more like this. And it was friendly and it didn't seem intimidating.
Senate to dog catcher. So right. You caught one right there with you.
I feel like we're at a time in the world right now when we don't need to be extra funding the dog catcher. Let's make sure we don't lose the concept of democracy, truth, climate, and the ability to know our left from our right before it all goes down the drain. I'm down with some random dogs in the street, Josh. defunding dog catchers.
You want to defund dog catchers. On this show, you're going to announce that that is your new platform.
100%.
How has comedy been for you since you ran?
I didn't immediately feel like I was as welcomed back, but that was probably largely in my head. And almost on cue, somebody's arm leans through and hands me a joint, and it's Dave Chappelle. All these great people hanging out there, and went up and watched Dave kill for 2 hours and 45 minutes. I was challenging him on some political things and encouraging him to put his money where his mouth is and to get more involved. Not 2 or 3 weeks later did he finally come out and support Andrew Yang and did events with him, and he'd never done something like that. I don't know if I had something to do with spurring that on, but maybe. I want to be silly again and light again. The world is so nuts.
Well, I can certainly empathize with that. I can't quit you. I still want democracy to work, but there are many, many battles to come. There are going to be so many people who have been campaigning for 500 days straight and will have nothing left in the tank, and the work just begins after the election.
There is fatigue out there, even for the most important election of our lives. People are inundated, they're tired. I just hope that people, in the most important, most basic way, convince everybody they know to vote, and just fight very hard against even the slightest smell of impropriety with this election. Don't let up. We're in the fight for our lives.
There's also a viral disease going around right now that seems to be
yeah.
a systemic
Right,
problem.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
And misinformation coming from the very top on that, and no effort to stem it, and no plan to stop it. Nail him. Pin him down. And that's what Biden has to do in these debates. All about making him look foolish and weak and unpatriotic and disloyal to this country. You run over the time. You don't care about the minute and 20 seconds you're allotted in the debate. You say, no, the life of our country and our planet is on the line. I'm going 30 more seconds. Answer the question, sir.
Well, the note for Joe to go over his time and really just hammer in and dig into some of these major grievances that he keeps sliding away from is definitely the best thing a master debater and heckler in chief would be able to handle.
I've been home with nowhere to go, so I've had a lot of time for master debating.
Do you turn your little squishy Trump the other direction when you do that, or?
I regret the last 30 seconds of my life so much. Don't feel like you can't enjoy life during this process. Seeing people in the greatest battles of all time, in the middle of wars, would retire at the end of the night and get drunk in their caverns and their taverns and click their glasses and wake up and fight again the next day. So find your entertainment.
Truly, there's a ceiling to happiness right now. When you're laughing, you're not afraid. That's a Colbert quote that I really like.
A quotation that I love a lot is, if you're going to speak the truth, make them laugh or they'll kill you.
Where's that one from?
Might have been Voltaire, but I'm not positive.
You should own it. You just, that's the internet these days. That's your quote now.
I'm one of the great quote givers of all time. A lot of people are saying it. A lot of people are saying it.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And please consider sharing. The only way conspiracy theories spread is with the help of susceptible people like you.